compliance with the open meeting law?
Yes, we are.
Oh, welcome. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, give your name for the record, the amount of discussion, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed. It may be limited.
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes.
We do have to take roll call.
We do. Oh, yes.
Chair Bates,
Here.
Vice Chair O'Rear Cameron. Here. Member Oberlander, excused. Member Weinstein,
Here.
Member Pat Toretu,
Here.
Member Perazzo,
Here.
and Member Marshall.
Here.
And you do have a quorum.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Kelly, are you making introductions?
No, and you, well, this is Ward 6 new Senior Advisory Board member, Mr. Robert Marshall. This is John Perazzo, who, and I'm sorry, I don't have all the words memorized.
Five.
Thank you so much. And member Yvette Weinstein Hall. She's
Ward
appointed
two.
by the mayor,
Yes.
Ward 2.
I live in Ward 2.
And Elizabeth, I'm sorry, will you say your last name for me, please?
Patareto.
Thank you. Also part of Ward 6, however, appointed by the mayor. And then we have our chair, Carmen Bates,
Word 3.
and then our vice chair, Deanne, Ward 4.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Possible action to approve the final minutes of last month's meeting, July 6th. Yes.
Correction.
Yes.
On page 3, number 7. Oh, maybe not.
4. Page 4.
On the vote, I thought I nominated Yvette Weinstein Hall as chair, and that failed.
Talking about the first motion under number 7.
Yes. There was a discussion, it's in the minutes. It said that I nominated you, and I don't remember nominating you. I remember nominating Yvette.
I nominated you.
Oh, okay.
That's in there.
Yeah, that's correct. I didn't think that was a problem.
Okay.
And I did nominate Diane as vice chair, and that passed. It's in the discussion, I think.
So you're saying your name is not appear there as making a nomination, correct?
When I read the minutes, the second motion by Perazzo to approve Carmen Bates as chair failed. I made a second motion to approve Yvette Weinstein Hall as chair, and that failed. It's at the top of page 5, sorry.
So then extract my name and insert Yvette Weinstein Hall?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Is that correct?
That's
Because
correct.
that's my memory.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Is that clear?
Yeah.
This is Deputy City Clerk Ashley Foster. I can share that information with the deputy who attended that meeting, and then she'll re-listen to the minutes and make any corrections that need to be made.
Oh, great. Thank you for reminding us. This is Member Perazzo, Ward 5. Practicing.
Trying to keep it all. So then the minutes can be approved as corrected. Correct?
I so move.
Okay.
Second.
Excellent. available to the community. Welcome, John.
Any microphone?
Sure.
Hi, thank you everyone for having me today. I'm actually the Clark County Public Guardian. My name is Karen Kelly, and I'm not an elected official. I'm actually appointed by the Clark County Commissioners. I was appointed last August as acting public guardian, and that was made permanent in February of this year. The last public guardian did retire. So what does the Public Guardian's Office do? We really assist individuals with their medical and financial affairs who've been deemed incompetent by a court and who really have no family, friends who are willing, able, or appropriate to serve. So we really only want to get involved in a guardianship case when it's really the guardian of last resort. There's nobody else to serve in that capacity. So currently at the guardianship office we have about 280 cases that we manage. And then we also have a voluntary representative payee program, and we manage just the finances of individuals over 60 who voluntarily go on the program. So there has to be some kind of reason. Sometimes we have people who are at risk for homelessness. We have somebody who may have a gambling addiction. We've had clients who have been exploited, but maybe don't meet the criteria for a full guardianship. So we're looking for a less restrictive alternative. And our representative payee program is grant funded through the state of Nevada Aging and Disability Services. And currently we have about 138 people on that program. We only have one case manager, so we do have a wait list as well for that. So how does the public guardian get involved? Often the court will ask us to step in on a case where there might be a lot of contention, there's a lot of people fighting back and forth, and they need what they consider an independent third party. So that's kind of one of the ways that we get involved. We also get requests from Aging and Disability Services, the Elder Protective Services, law enforcement, things like that. We've kind of changed a little bit how we do referrals. Previously, before my appointment, we would receive a paper referral with all the information you needed, all the medical records, all the financial records. We'd go all through it, and then we would file a petition with the court. One of the problems we have at the Public Guardian's Office is we have no attorneys on staff. So we have to go out into the community and ask people, would you be willing to do this pro bono? Because about 75% of the cases in the Public Guardian's Office are pro bono. They've got their own Medicaid and very limited resources. So we have to go out into the community and ask attorneys to file those documents for us. So we ended up with a very, very large waiting list of people who need a guardian, but we're not able to take that on. So we looked at some of the changes we could make. And one of the first things we've done is the statute actually says anybody can request a public guardian, you've just got to go to the court and ask the court. So we said, well, let's go down that way. Then the petition will be on. We don't have to ask anybody to put that on. And it also means that at our office, we're not going to get all your personal health information. We're not going to get all your private financial information, anything like that, until a judge has looked at the evidence and said, yes, I do believe this person meets the criteria under the statute for guardianship, and it would be appropriate for someone to step in, and there's really nobody else. One of the big things we want to do is for family to get involved. It used to be, up until what was past legislative session, but before, that anybody who had family out of state could not serve as guardian for a family member who resided in Nevada without a local co-guardian serving with them, which led to a lot of, our office doesn't serve as co-guardian, it's very much a liability for a government agency to be co-guardian with somebody. So there was a lot of private guardians in the community who would serve in that role. And there's three types of guardians you can get. You can get your family guardian, you're looking after your mom, dad, brother, sister, son, daughter. You can get a private guardian who is a for-profit agency who provides guardianship services. And then you have the Clark County Public Guardian's Office. That's generally the three types you're going to get. Within the private guardians, the statute says that to be considered a private professional guardian, you're going to be, the guardian to 3 or more persons who are not related by blood. So you could still, even if you are a family guardian, you have more than 3. If you're related by blood, they're not going to consider you a private professional guardian because there's new restrictions in place regarding licensing and some other things to do with private professional guardians. And then as I said, the public guardian's office come in. But we do only want to get involved when there's no family willing or able to serve, and that's something we've been really talking to the hospitals about, the facilities, and saying, please, please, please do some research, try and find family members before you get us involved so that they can step in, and there's really no need for us to do that. There's different types of guardianships that you'll come across. Some of them will say they're for guardian of the person only. So in that situation, the person can only make medical decisions, only decisions on where they can live, things like that. You're not going to handle any finances. And then you're going to have guardianship of just the estate, which is you're only allowed to handle the finances. You can't handle any medical decisions or decisions on the residence or appropriate living conditions, things like that. And then, of course, you have the guardianship of both, the person and estate. Majority of cases that our office has is guardian of person and estate, because generally you need to be able to manage both facets of that person's life in order to appropriately manage the case. But we do have some cases where we only manage the money. So somebody may be able to make their own medical decisions, but they need some assistance handling their assets. Generally, we don't go for just person because it's very difficult to place somebody if you can't get access to their money to make sure you can pay for it. But we have done it in certain situations. Temporary guardianships are kind of a hot topic. They are a way of getting a guardianship without an initial court hearing. And their court hearing can be heard, must be heard within 10 days. Of course, you know, people want to have their court hearing, have their time in court, be able to say if they do or do not want a guardianship. So really a temporary emergency guardianship should only be used when someone's in immediate danger, abuse, neglect, financial exploitations going on, and there's a real immediate need. Our office has tried to step back from doing a lot of temporary guardianships unless we can really show that per the statute this meets the requirements. If the family member is out of state and they want to become the guardian for a family member who lives here in Nevada, they don't need the co-guardian, as I said. However, they do need what's called a registered agent, okay? So you have to find, you can actually get a list off of the Nevada Secretary of State's website, and there's a form on there as well that could be completed and put in as part of your guardianship petition that shows, yes, I have that registered agent. And that person will be the one who receives all the notices on your behalf, so that if we need to tell them to get to court quick, we can just go right there and let that registered agent know. One of the big things to help people who are either under guardianship or have questions is there is a guardianship compliance through the district court. There is a guardianship hotline telephone number, which I can give you, which is 702-671-4614. And currently there's a gentleman there who you can call if you have concerns about something that's going on in the guardianship, and he can take a look at it and make a determination of what they need to do. If you need any of the forms to do with guardianship, if you want to either try and petition the public guardian in, or if you want to file your own petition, of course you can always speak with an attorney. That's something that a lot of people do. Or you can go through the Family Law Self-Help Center. That's through the Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada. And so the Family Law Self-Help Center website is an amazing website, and it really just kind of step-by-step tells you exactly what you need to do, has all the forms on there that you need. And within that website, you can also find out information about the Ask a Lawyer program. And they also do classes on how to fill out the paperwork. At the Public Guardian's Office, we have a class that teaches you the roles and responsibilities of a guardian once you're appointed. We can't have anybody fill out forms, and it's a lot of questions that we get, but we definitely can't have anyone fill out any of that paperwork. So once the petition's filed, it can take anywhere from 30 to 60 days, depending on the court, to get a court date, but if you need an emergency one, there's certain ways of doing that. There is Typical cases that our office has, we have a lot of clients with developmental disabilities through Desert Regional Center. We have a lot of cases, unfortunately, where someone's been financially exploited or maybe some immediate medical needs. They're in hospital and they need some kind of surgery doing. There's ways of terminating a guardianship. And one of our big things with our case managers is every time we're out speaking to somebody and managing the case, are we at a place where maybe this guardianship isn't needed anymore? So we're always looking for that. Unfortunately, a lot of the diseases that we deal with do progress and progressively get worse, but we have cases where someone may have had a stroke and through rehabilitation are able to regain a level of independence, and as soon as we get that doctor to say, yep, they don't need a guardian anymore, we go right in there and terminate that guardianship and do what we can to move on. At the Public Guardian's Office, we're on call 24 hours a day, so even after regular work hours, if you are a client of the Public Guardian, anyone can call, say it's an emergency, and they will speak with an on-call supervisor. The other thing really interesting that's happened, there's a lot of changes that have happened in guardianship from this last legislative session that are just coming into fruition. But one of the big ones is a move away from the term ward. A lot of people hear somebody under guardianship is considered a ward of the court, and they've changed that. So we're changing all our wording. It's now protected person. And somebody who is under guardianship is a protected person. Somebody who is possibly going to be under guardianship is called a proposed protected person. So those are things that you should be seeing more changes. I have some more handouts for anyone. I'll leave them here. Fortunately, I don't have my new ones with protected person in them yet, but they are coming. I know there's been a lot in the media about guardianship. One of the things we like to go out and tell people is, how can you avoid guardianship? One of the things is to really put the affairs in order and get your power of attorneys in place before you reach a stage where you're not able to make that decision. So kind of putting that all in place and somebody knowing where they are is very, very important. Unfortunately, we do still get involved in some cases where there are power of attorneys because people can come in and fight over, well, is it really true, is it not? But it is one of the tools that's there to try and avoid a guardianship. One of the other good things that came out of this session is a guardianship nomination form. So what happens is, if you say, if it's ever going to happen to me and I'm going to have to be under guardianship, this is the person I really want to be. And they're starting a lockbox for that information so the court can access that. Every time there's a petition put on, say, did this person put a nomination in? It's in the beginning stages, it's not up and running yet, but that will also be through the state of Nevada Secretary of State, from my understanding, because they have the living will lockbox. I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with that, but it's that similar idea. It'll just be for a guardianship nomination form so that somebody can put that in there. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about guardianship that maybe I haven't answered or anything specific information on? Yes.
You mentioned that it was compliance through something, just before you gave us the hotline.
District court.
District court.
Yes. County district court. If you do have any questions about guardianship, we always have somebody during office hours that we're open, available to answer questions. There's always a supervisor on the floor who can answer questions. So we get calls from the community a lot, trying to figure out how to navigate the system, and we're happy to do that and answer those questions. So our telephone number at the Public Guardian's Office is 702-455-4332.
4332.
Yes.
And what office is that?
Clark County Public Guardian. So we can answer questions or kind of put people in the right direction. Yeah.
One of my concerns that has come up since I've joined the board is isolated seniors.
Right.
And it seems like you're in touch with those that you know about.
Yeah.
What way is there to know about the ones we don't know about?
And that's the unfortunate part. A lot of the times we only get notified when law enforcement gets involved, maybe a neighbor, somebody else is called. But there's also been some concerns about guardians actually isolating people they are guardian for. So one of the things that the legislature have done is there's new rules that went into effect July 1st of who can be excluded under what circumstances, because there could be a case, where you have somebody who is accused of physical violence against somebody, and you need the ability to say, while the investigation is going on, let's just see where we're at, put something in place. But there's now a mechanism within the courts to do that, and you have to file documents with the court, you must let the judge know. Anytime somebody is moved, there's people that must be notified of this. And another good thing they put in there was this idea of somebody being of natural affection. So you may not be a family member, but you may have been this person's neighbor for 25 years. They are as close to family as they have. And if we identify at the beginning, at the public guardian's office, if we identify at the beginning that this person is of natural affection, we put that right in our notes, and we will notify them if someone goes to the hospital, any changes. We'll ask the court if we can put them on our mailings to receive private information, things like that. So there has been some good changes on the guardianship side. As far as for people in the actual community, it's really that call to the police, or, hey, can you just have a look at this, a little bit of a welfare check, and that's how some of the recent cases that we've been appointed on have come about. Yes?
Vice Chair Deanna O'Rear Cameron. First of all, I want to say thank you for everything that you do. I work with Desiree
Oh,
on the
wonderful.
Senior Law Enforcement Together Council, so I hear a lot about what you're doing and things going on, so big thank you, first of all. I love the changes that are in place. I think it's very, very amazing. And can you just tell me again how the ADSD fits in? So that way everybody knows the connection.
So for an individual over 60 that someone feels is possibly being exploited or neglected, or something's not going on, they can actually make a referral to Elder Protective Services. So they call Elder Protective Services, give all the information, and from that point, a caseworker is assigned to go out and look into it. It could just be that somebody needs some additional help in their home. They'll be able to put that in through their different programs that the State of Nevada Aging and Disability Services has. But every so often they'll come across a case where, wow, we really feel like there's some maybe a cognitive impairment going on, could be for any number of medical reasons, and they'll have their physician can oftentimes go out and assess the situation for possible guardianship. Especially, you get a lot of clients that say, well, I haven't seen a doctor in 7 years, and you're like, well, I'm not really sure how to assess that. So Elder Protective Services actually has somebody that they can send out. Once they make that determination that, yes, this really does meet the criteria, all our tests have shown that there is a cognitive impairment and there's a risk here. The new procedure, it used to be they just send us a referral, send us all the information. The new procedure is through the Attorney General's office. They are working with the Attorney General's office to prepare that petition. They'll notice us and say, public guardian, please be in court on this date. And we'll show up, and then before we've even seen anything, the judge looks at it and says, yes, it definitely meets the criteria, we're going to appoint the public guardian, and then we'll get access to all that private information. But we really only want access to that once a judge has determined this person is not capable of managing their own affairs. And in some cases, there is no family willing or appropriate. Unfortunately, we are going to get some cases, especially when we've worked with Elder Protective, where there are family members who want to be the guardian, but for numerous reasons, they're not appropriate or able to serve. So sometimes it can be a little contentious in those situations. And we try to maintain the privacy of our clients fiercely, really fiercely maintain their privacy. So it's difficult sometimes when you kind of hear one little bit of the story. We're never going to come out and give out any information on our client ever. We do everything through the court process. And then there's also some great programs with aging and disability that we work with once we are guardian to keep people in a lower level of care. One of our goals is to be in the least restrictive environment possible based on the doctor's recommendation of what level of care somebody really needs. ADSD has some great programs for low income that will allow us to not have to have somebody in a nursing home just because that's the only thing that Medicaid would pay for. There's lots of little different options now, and it's a really great resource, Aging and Disability Services, to work through that process.
Is there, Yvette Weinstein Hall, is there a requirement regarding a person who becomes the guardian for both the person or the estate, that they be bonded. Because that's an issue that, of exploitation by the public guardian, I mean, it was all over the news.
Well, that
Judge
was-
Barker tried to make some changes and
Yeah.
the legislature as well.
Yeah.
Bonding is an important issue. If it's not, if a person is not bonded, that's something that should be brought up to the legislature.
Absolutely, and a lot of what was heard was actually from private professional guardians. So there is, this distinction between a private professional and a public guardian.
Right.
So there's only one public guardian for all of Clark County, but there's multiple private professionals. Yes, there was a problem previously with private professional guardians not being bonded, not having appropriate blocked accounts, and I'm thinking that's moved on.
Okay.
For the public guardian's office, we're bonded through the county.
Good.
Right.
Okay.
However, this compliance that they put in place has really, really put down a lot of the problems that they had. So once you're guarding the estate, within 60 days, you have to file a notice, an inventory with the court of everything that you're aware of. You must then, if there's more than $10,000 in the estate, you have to do annual accountings to the court. And the compliance officer really is taking note of when these are due and pulling people back into court when they're not meeting that criteria. This last legislative session, they did create the State Office of Guardianship Compliance, I think is what they agreed the name would be. And we're hoping that that office, once it gets up and running, will be able to investigate calls that people come and say, I think someone might not have access to their money and someone's done something. If it's under guardianship, that they can subpoena records and things like that. That's really the hope, and I'm really hoping that moves forward.
Good news.
Yes. Any other question?
Yeah, the people who is in the public, like there is nobody who was able to give a proper information about the person. Unlike I'm a nurse, so I know what's happening in the hospital setup. We have to have a competency evaluation done by psychiatrist,
Right.
determine the person is not able to take a decision. What do you do for the people out there who is not evaluated, or do you get evaluated for them?
Yes, from the Public Guardian's Office, we don't get involved in any evaluations. The evaluation must be there by a physician, and the court is going to have to look at it and say this person is unable to manage their own affairs and incapacitated before our office will get involved. So what we tell people who called, sometimes if someone's over 60, they can make a referral to Elder Protective Services through Aging and Disability Services, or if you're really concerned about someone's safety, a welfare check through Metro is something that people will often do. If someone's already in the hospital, I've actually been going around and meeting with hospital staff and administrators to explain how they can make that jump into citing the Public Guardian's Office in, rather than just sending us all the information, kind of going through the course. So I have been going out to the hospitals and meeting with them, hoping to spread the word, as it were. And I'm more than happy to go anywhere to discuss that. If you have anywhere in particular you'd like me to go, I'd be happy to reach out to them.
Yeah, from my work source, we have to go through the psychiatric evaluation
Correct.
before filing for the
Absolutely.
guardianship. But the guardianship nomination form, who fills that up?
Somebody, if it was me, it's the person themselves. So I would say, I have my form, I'm competent, I have to be in a competent state to be able to fill this form out. It's like filling out a power of attorney form. But I'm saying, if I ever get to a state, I nominate, say, my husband, and I put all this information that gets put up and put in the lockbox. So 5 years from now, if somebody files for guardianship, the court's going to say, okay, does Karen Kelly have anything in this box that says who she would like to be guardian? And they'll, oh yes, well, you're not her husband, why are you filing for guardianship? And then they'd have to explain that kind of situation. I think that's how it's envisioned, which makes a lot of sense.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Vice Chair Deanna Rear Cameron. So in essence, it would be a very good thing at community resources, different fairs, things like that, for this forum to be spoken to people about.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Because-
it's not in place yet,
Yeah.
from what I can tell. We're still in those early stages, and it's always going to be a little bit until we can get it up and running. Like I said, it's not the Public Guardian's Office that had anything to do with that, but we did support it. We thought it was a great idea, but it didn't come from our office. But we'd be happy to speak about it, of what we know about it, and kind of move from there.
Thank you.
All right. Well, do you want me to leave any
Please.
Okay, I will leave this right
Thank you.
here. And like I said, please feel free to call our office anytime with any questions. All right?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Ms. Kelly? Next up, we have Jocelyn Blewett Fisher, Senior Neighborhood Outreach Specialist, Office of Community Services. Hi. Hello. Welcome.
Thank you. So I do have some packets, if we can pass them on, just take the first bunch that's on the top, they're not stapled, so just grab them, I have to keep them separate. I'll take that one, thank you. So my name is Jocelyn Blewett Fisher, I work in the Office of Community Services here with the City of Las Vegas, and one of my responsibilities is to coordinate programs and services that address homelessness here in our community. So start with just some basic information about homelessness here in Clark County. Clark County ranks fifth or sixth, depending on how it's measured in the nation, for the number of homeless people here in our community. What that means is that on any given night, there's a little more than 6,500 homeless people in our community. About half of them are what we consider sheltered homeless, so they are in housing supported programs or living in shelters. The other half, about 3,000 folks, are living in places not meant for human habitation. And so that includes not just single adult males or single adult females, those are families with children, those are seniors, veterans, and so on. So with the City of Las Vegas, while we do participate actively with the regional efforts, all the jurisdictions come together to work on homelessness as a regional issue. We also focus on programs and services that address homelessness within our city boundaries, with a particular focus on homelessness in our urban core. We estimate that of the 3,000 unsheltered homeless in our community, about 40% of them are in our downtown area or what in the area that we call the Corridor of Hope. So having seen all that, we wanted to get some more information about why that was happening. We were noticing that there were a lot of homeless people who would attach their tent or their blanket to Catholic Charities site, but they wouldn't go inside to go into shelter. So we commissioned with an outside organization to go out and do a survey of the homeless. So they went around and surveyed about 400, a little more than 400 homeless folks to find out what was going on in the shelters, what were their impressions, and why they were not electing to go into programs and services. And from that, we learned a lot of different things. One, there's a lot of perceptions about the shelters, about being unclean, bed bugs, not safe, and so on. But we also were encountering a lot of homeless folks who were dealing with mental health issues. And so we noticed that if you have been homeless for more than a year, you're more likely to have some sort of mental illness issues that impact you as well. So with that information, at the same time, we also started having community charrettes. So we hosted these meetings where we called in anyone who was interested in the homeless issues to come and talk about it, identify what was working, what wasn't working, and where there were gaps in services. And it was literally anyone. Homeless service providers, law enforcement, the faith-based community was there, citizens formerly homeless, and so on. And we had some really rich discussions. What we learned from that is there's some basic things that could be in this area that are not in this area now. And so we are working now to try to fill some of those gaps. The top things that came out were there's a definite need for mental health services, absolutely a need for medical or medical respite, because if you're homeless and you're in the hospital and you're discharged, you still have an active wound, you're discharged to the street, how are you going to care for yourself? In addition to that, there is a need for employment services, and then just basic needs, restrooms, showers, and so on. So at the same time we were having those surveys and the community charrettes, the city had started to acquire property in the Corridor of Hope. So I don't know if you all are familiar with the Corridor of Hope area, but it is roughly bounded by Main Street, Las Vegas Boulevard, Four Master, or Owens, and then the Union Pacific Railroad. There are a lot of existing homeless services in that area, so Catholic Charities is there, Salvation Army, Shade Tree, and so on. And they provide a wide array of services. But it is obvious to us that even with all of those services, even if every homeless person living on the street were to raise their hand and say, I'm ready to go into service, there just aren't enough beds in our community. So we started to purchase land. So if you're looking at the first map in your packet, this is just a general overview of the Corridor of Hope. And then the second photo is a zoom-in picture of the properties in particular that we have purchased. And so currently, the city owns what used to be the Casablanca Ballroom at 1401 North Las Vegas Boulevard. We own the Shannon Buchanan West Homeless Youth Center at 1417 Las Vegas Boulevard. We own the Throwers property at 1425 North Main Street, and we are in the process of negotiating the purchase of the funeral home which sits in the middle of the property. The purpose of purchasing all of that is if you're going to bring additional services in or you're going to try to make an impact, you have to have land to do all of that. So when the properties were available, we thought it was a perfect opportunity to acquire the land while we were building the plan to do what we were going to do with the land anyway. So we're building the plane and flying it all at the same time. So since we were acquiring the property, we knew that there are folks who need services and need resources right now. So rather than let the property sit vacant until we determined what we wanted to do with it, we decided to start doing what we call pop-up services at the Casablanca Ballroom site right now. So if you go to the second page, we are working towards getting to the first phase of what we call the courtyard. So what happens right now is that homeless people who are in downtown, in front of businesses, in our neighborhoods, and in our parks, will come through and say, we can't be here. But we never give them an opportunity to say, where can they be? And human beings don't evaporate just because you don't want them to be in a certain location. So we are envisioning the courtyard as being that safe place of where they can be. So it's not safe for them on the street, it's not safe for our neighborhoods and our communities, but here's a place where they can be safe. In addition to that, and it's very low barrier, so we're not breathalyzing, we're not drug testing, we're not doing metal detectors. If you can come to this space and follow the rules and not bother anyone and try to connect to services and resources, you can stay here as long as you want. So right now, we are open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and it is open to anyone who crosses our threshold. In addition to that, sorry, I need a Kleenex. I'm having an allergy issue all of a sudden. Thank you very much. The city is providing 24-hour security, so it is a safe place. There's security guards all the time, as well as we have 24-hour porta potties, so that we can let homeless folks do what comes naturally with a sense of dignity, because before they were urinating and defecating on the streets or in the parks. We are working towards eventually having this site open 24/7. So all of the things and all of the services that are listed here on this phase 1 sheet are the things that we're trying to bring in. So we do want to have a day shelter, we want to have shade structures. The mobile showers are there right now. They come 3 days a week. They're there right now today, so they come from 8 to 1 and allow homeless folks to make appointments to take a shower, use the bathroom, get a fresh change of clothes, again, with that sense of dignity. And it's also a place for them to connect to resources. So we have service providers who come on site every day of the week, and they're trying to do any number of things, from doing a housing assessment to try to connect them to a housing resource that may be available, to helping them get their Social Security benefits or their SNAP benefits, to we have an employer who comes on site once a week and he will hire on the spot if you're job ready, connecting to your birth certificates, your ID, whatever your issues are or whatever resources you need, we have a team who's there who's trying to connect you to those resources. So this is not only just a safe place for you to come and to be, but it's also a place for, the traditional way just doesn't work. We say, you need to go to Clark County Social Services, here's a bus pass, we'll see you, when you get back. We're bringing the resources to the people that are there at the courtyard. And so we try to have a different service provider on site every single day. Right now, like I said, we're open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Once we build out a little further, we are going to be open 24/7. So once you come on site, you are able to stay there as long as you like, including sleeping there. What we will not do is feed the homeless there. We've had a lot of issues with street feeding, and there are free meals that are available in the community, 3 free meals every day. So we don't need to provide them with food. Catholic Charities provides the free meal. Salvation Army provides it. I'm pointing like this because this is where they're located. What is she pointing at? But there are free meals that are available. And really, a lot of our community wants to feed the homeless and give them clothes, but that's not really addressing the core of the issue. What we say is they're homeless, not sandwichless.
Yeah.
So we will be providing limited food for the homeless individuals who either work during the day and miss the 2 free meals, have done, or if we have someone who comes onto our campus who is new to our campus and hasn't had anything to eat in a couple of days, of course we'll feed you then. But it'll all be prepackaged, it'll all be microwavable, no cooking, no large kitchens, we're not doing any of that there at the site. So the goal is by March 1st of 2018 to have the facility open 24/7 where you can sleep there. So in the evening time after you've been checked in and had your mini triage, you'll have a cot, you can find a place to sleep on the campus, and in the morning we'll collect all the cots and you're welcome to stay on the site as well. It is an outdoor facility, so there will be shade structures, but basically it's not designed to be a shelter. It's just designed to be a safe zone, a respite place, and a place for you to connect your resources. Eventually, we want to build out to what we consider phase 2. So there will be physical structures that will be constructed on this site. The existing building will be demolished. And we want to bring in some of those missing services like behavioral services, medical services, a mental health clinic, medical respite, laundry facilities, and mailboxes, all of those things that would exist in a physical structure into a building that we'll construct. And the goal for this is to have phase 2 completely built out by October of 2019. Any questions?
Ambitious. I like it.
Member Brazo, I participated in the December charrette, so I appreciate to get the update on this. Mine was the Four Master Lane group.
Okay,
Thank
very
you.
good.
Thank you.
And Four Master Lane is also a part of this. So in addition to the build out of the parcels that the city has owned, we are looking at the Corridor of Hope as a whole and trying to determine, is there a way to, through physical design, make it easier for people to navigate and to get from one service to the other? So whether that means knocking down walls that divide properties, adding some walking paths, some green space, and so on, that's all a part of the conversation we talk about the Corridor of Hope.
As Vice Chair Dan earlier, Cameron, I know you had mentioned some numbers in the beginning. I'm just wondering what your guesstimate is on the number that are seniors and veterans.
I do not have those numbers, but I can tell you where all of this is located. So there is a regional website called Help Hope Home that is maintained by the Southern Nevada Continuum of Care. And so every year, according to HUD guidelines, we do a point-in-time count where we physically go out and count the homeless. And all of that information is rolled up into a report that's submitted to HUD, and all of that information is on the website under the point-in-time count.
I don't know. There's maybe a line at the top, yeah. Well, that's a good question.
No, can you take that question?
Or do we wait till the end? Questions from the public?
I'm trying to decide,
If I have a vote, please let her ask a question because I'm gonna have to run out at like 1:50.
Extenuating circumstances.
yeah, why don't you come up to a microphone, Maxine, so you can be heard?
My name is Maxine Goldstein. Okay, I personally run a charity for homeless children and children shelters. More for 12 and a lot, try to do things for them. Does this courtyard going to have any facilities for the homeless, especially homeless children?
So the goal is if there are children who come on site, families with children, to get them off campus almost immediately. So we aren't trying to, we know that we will have families with children that will come on site, but those are the ones we give highest priority to and try to get them housed and off campus. It's just not designed to be that sort of family-friendly place, if you will. And the same thing with our homeless youth. There are shelters and facilities that are designed to house and to treat their very special and unique needs, but this facility won't be equipped to do it.
Okay, because I know personally it's very hard for teens on their own. It's very hard to get them any place. Even they're giving out free school supplies all over town now. They just don't appear. And a lot of them
and then a representative from 4 nonprofit agencies that service the homeless. So US Vets, Salvation Army, Help of Southern Nevada, and WestCare. So as they're out encountering the homeless and encouraging them to come to services, they bring all the resources of their agency. So regardless of what their need is, there should be someone on that team who can help address their need. And they encourage people to come to the courtyard to connect to services. And so as they were out today, they did encounter a couple of homeless teens, invited them to come to the courtyard, and we got them connected with shelter and housing.
From the hospital, again, back to hospital, when people are asked to go to a shelter, they say, I don't want to go, they have rules. And they come over and over, every other week they're there. The same people, we give the same information, they go and come back without taking advantage of whatever is out there. No matter what we explain to them, or the community resource guide we give, they don't want to go because they don't want to follow rules. What can we do for them?
They don't. And so the difference between being on our campus as opposed to being in a shelter is that while we do have rules, a lot of the shelters, I don't know if you all know this, make you do a breathalyzer before you can go into the shelter. We're not doing any of that. If you're high on drugs, you're not allowed to enter the shelter. We aren't doing any of that either. It's very low barrier. If you can come and follow the basic rules, I mean, we have like basic rules, then you're welcome to be there as long as we're open. So we're hoping that that will catch some of the folks who are afraid to go to some of the shelter programs because of the rigor of the program and the rules, because this allows them a lot more latitude and freedom, because we're not trying to set them up in something that's quite so rigorous.
So is there something, we have a community resource guide we give to the patients out there in the hospital. Is there something we can add on to that? So
In March of 2018, yes.
okay, not right now, huh? Right now I can't wait. Can't wait.
6 months. In 6 months you'll have that.
I can't wait.
One last question. Is this model unique?
It is
Or-
not.
It's not. I
So
mean,
there are
somebody else's-
several similar programs in lots of other cities, and so we did take into account best practices. San Antonio has a courtyard program, Anaheim does, Orange County, there's a lot of different cities that have the same model.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Any more questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was very informative.
Where am I? Number 7 on the agenda are board reports, reports by our board members. I'll go first. I have near future plans to meet with Councilman Coffin and his staff to discuss our newly formed board, okay? And to ask for their input or ideas. I will be reporting on that in the future. Me and you are missing the Las Vegas Senior Center's indoor garage sale today. So it's going on right now. A lot of meeting is on here, so not much to report at Ward 3. There was notice on our board report from Councilman Kaufman of a Senior Energy Assistance Expo, 62, age 62 up, needing help paying a past due electric bill. That's going to be Saturday, August 5th, at Cashman, 8 a.m. to noon, if that lights your fire. Also, interestingly enough, August 31st, there is a Senior Employment Expo, ages 50 and up, free and open to the public. Any community member, you're allowed to go there, talk to the vendors, anybody hiring, ask questions, bring your resume, you can get hired on the spot.
Where is it?
It's at Las Vegas Senior Center, 451 East Bonanza. And it's Thursday, August 31st. And ages 50 plus, so I like it, the word senior. It's always a different age depending on who you talk to, so. Are you all receiving your board newsletters?
I just opened my email yesterday.
email, yeah.
That was
Yeah, they're
informative.
interesting. I mean, some of it is duplication, because of the city projects that are going on. You'll see
Marshall.
Yeah, Robert Marshall, I'm originally from San Francisco. 16 years, live in Centennial Hills. Background, I retired special agent, office special investigations, Department of the Airport. Retirement, I have my own business in securities companies in San Francisco. Sold the company, had a 50-foot sailboat, and lifeline sail Pacific, and that for 5 years, literally lived on the boat. Had a long diary, said, I got to put my feet on terra firma. We sold the boat and started looking for some place to live. In San Francisco wasn't a place that we wanted to go back to because of certain situations, because of the weather and that type of thing. Wife is from Florida, we discussed that. I wanted to see mountains. I happened to get on the internet, and this is 01 or 00, and I said, God, they're giving houses away in Las Vegas. Here we are.
Good, welcome. Yeah, nice to have you
It's very
aboard.
good.
Good. Next word, John?
John Perazzo, member Ward 5. I have an outstanding question for Vice Chair Cameron. You had mentioned in the minutes that you had work in Ward 5. I was just wondering if you could clarify that. You had work in Ward 5. You mentioned it last meeting. I was just wondering if there was duplication or what type of work that
Oh,
was.
no, just because my business is seniors, everything I do. And so Ward 5 there, it had a chamber out there that I had done some work with, and that's how I met different people. And then also Ricky Barlow comes to many different events with some of the events that I do. So I actually have, because I'm in the literally business of seniors, my feet are in a lot of the wards, but obviously my focus is work.
I thought I'd do a little experiment in my presentation, not to take time, but if I have any volunteers, I have 3 sets of sticks for just a quick feedback on how clear is my presentation. Everything's going smoothly. Something's not quite right. Danger, danger, danger. Who would like to participate? While I do the program, you're going to hold up a stick. Everything's going good. I don't quite get this. You're off the chart here. So it talks about variance, but who would like to volunteer? I'll give you 3 sticks.
You can give me a stick.
Okay, you have 3 colors because you have 3 responsibilities.
Okay.
Right. Who else? Have 2 more sticks. Quick, quick. Any citizens? There you go.
Why blue, not green?
That's a very good question. I found, actually it came from my visit to Indonesia.
Okay.
I was in the men's restroom and they had 3 signs, a blue sign, a yellow sign, and a red sign.
Blue
And in my
boys.
elementary Indonesian, I tried to ask, does blue mean the same as green in the United States? And they pulled me into the police station and they said, we'd like to learn English. So I never did get the answer to that question. The other handout is, tomorrow is WE Day, and children are participating in this. And I just, this month, have had the most helpful class in my recent life on W. Edwards Deming's The New Economics. And he talks about variance and understanding variance and things that are out of the ordinary. And so I'm going to pass this out. The story of Patrick, 11 years old, and the school bus. It has the copyright information on the back. So why this is important and what these variance sticks offer,
You're going to explain, right?
yes, is that I was on the city bus the other day, just riding home from work, and there was a lady who rang the bus at Washington and D Street, just next to the wonderful West Side School. Every time I pass there, I'm so inspired. That historic restoration. She rang the bell. She was in a walker. Bus driver pulled over. She asked for the ramp to go down. Now, there's this much sidewalk. There's a 3-foot wall. There's a stair. And he didn't put the ramp down. She cussed him out, got off the bus, give me your name, and I thought, maybe the system of the situation. So I wrote Regional Transportation, sent a copy to Streets and Highways, because there was a lot of talk about making sidewalks handicap accessible. And excellent response from Regional Transportation, thank you for bringing this attention. They went out, they took pictures, they investigated. The end result was the driver was young, he needed more training. And I said, okay, on the other hand, we need to alert the seniors, when you get on the bus, let the driver know your stop and that you need the ramp on your stop, so he'll park the bus away from the sidewalk so you can get the ramp down and you can get off and not have to cuss me. So this is the
Good work.
response to that. So, in essence, our garden is doing great. Tomato plants defending themselves. Community centers, no further report. My focus on senior housing. I began with an outreach letter to. Here's the outreach letter. My goal is to be organized.
How's John doing, Beth? How's John?
Okay. Good for the people. All right, so this is.
I'd be more organized, but anyway.
This is the outreach letter. That's the only copy, so
Okay,
I'll pass it in,
okay.
it'll be in a minute. Introducing myself, the Senior Citizen Advisory Board, purpose to advise and make recommendations to the City Council concerning subject of particular interest to senior citizens and others who share the same interests. This is from our bylaws. What subject of particular interest to senior citizens are you aware? It's an open-ended question because I didn't want to limit any response. I followed up with phone calls. The senior centers that I called were very limited office hours, very few staff. I ended up meeting Byron Peterson over the phone, support services coordinator for Archie Grant, Rose Garden, and Bertha Johnson with Robert Gordon of the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority. And I have a cell number. He introduced me to his work to help seniors age in place. He told me about his work, help residents find when needed energy assistance, Medicaid, food stamps, housekeeping, in-home health care. We just discussed how significant the loss of Medicaid would be for his clients. We also explored the difficulty the residents have with transportation. I hope to have more of a system we could look at fully next month. Outreach in this department also included letters to senior citizen housing not officially affiliated with the city, voluntary associations such as synagogues, churches, mosques. I have a list on file. The key thing I just stumbled across all these things, amazing, is in demographics. You remember last month I was talking about, this is our ward, Ward 5, and I did a preliminary demographics for the zip codes. I had 4 zip codes, who's senior and so forth. And I said it'd be helpful if we got down to the precinct level in information. Well, I stumbled across the precinct level list with Clark County Election Board. It has the precincts listed for my ward, 47 precincts, how many active voters there are, 46,000, and how many voters per precinct. So here's a list of that. I took that and ranked it with the precincts with the most active voters at the top and the least active voters at the bottom. I have one precinct that has no one living there, no active voters. It's where Councilman Barlow used to have his coffee with the councilman at the Starbucks over by Rancho and the Bonanza. So 5,000, 15,000 to 2,000 red, 1,000 to 15,000 orange, and so forth. Then I took that information and applied it to one of the precinct maps that I got from the county. And to give an idea, there's a lot of active voters in this precinct. This one, the Bonanza Village, is not so many. Up above is kind of in between. So it gave me a visual of active voters. Then I stumbled across the list of registered voter walking lists, which actually gives their birth year. I didn't know that information was in the voter registration, but it was there. You can pass that in. That was a bit more than I can handle, so I broke it down to a sample. I randomly sampled 6 pages of a 41-page report for this precinct, this particular precinct, 4616. Did a sample, and within a 4% error, there's 40 to 50% of that precinct are registered voters or over 55. So this is the data. I also stumbled across somebody who was over 103 years old. And that wasn't bad, but I thought, gee, that should be celebrated. I looked over at the name, because the name is there, and it looked like the name was misspelled, because there were two people with an M in their last name, and this one had the same, except instead of an M, it was W. So I called the election board, and it was determined, yes, that was a typographic error, and so that will be stricken from the records and corrected. I thought, boy, what am I getting myself into? So I did ask them if they could produce 55 and over active voters on the precinct level for the city of Las Vegas. This will be fine, that'll be $130. So if that information is valuable, then I submit a motion that that be approved. If it's not valuable, then we'll let it go. But my intent is, where are the isolated seniors? Here are the seniors we know about. Where are they not? So, well, this is, time's up. You have the Deming handout. Systems thinking, regional transportation incident, Clark County Senior Citizen for precinct. Oh, is that data worth paying for? Oh, one last thing. I don't know if this is for the end, but all things considered, National News Radio had a program, had a feature on Las Vegas Recovery Center, 3321 North Buffalo. They treated someone for opiate addiction. He's over 55. He's from Arizona. We helped him out. National News.
Nice, we got a mention.
And that's the end of my report.
Well, lots of statistics. That's definitely a work in progress. I see what you're after.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Good work. Does Weinstein know?
Okay, I have a meeting set up with new Councilman Sirocco for next week, August 10th. And he is, I talked to his assistant, and he's going to have his staff available to me so we can talk to the councilman as well as his staff about what he is thinking about to deal with senior citizens. So I really don't have a report now about this, so I will have that information regarding that next month. I went back to the Senior Citizen Center and the pavilion. It's the Veterans Pavilion. And the gardens are up and running, which is nice, with the children and as well as the seniors. So I don't have much to tell you, but next month I should have a lot more information as to, and the guidance that I will get from a new city councilman and his perspective. Since it'll be a brand new perspective, I think it'll be interesting for all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, same here. I was not able to do much this past month. I went and saw everybody was in sessions. You know, they have the classes. I could not interrupt anybody. And Councilwoman has a meeting her Mondays, 2 Mondays in that office, 1 to 4. And I'm planning to go and meet her there instead of going to her office the next week, the next meeting. Then I can. So, Mr. Marshall, you are also in that area, right? In Centennial Hills, because Councilwoman she has an office in that same center and meeting that day.
Yeah, Michelle, you thought of.
Right, Michelle.
She's opening an office in the Y there.
Yes.
Senior Center
Yeah.
area.
So.
It's not open yet, but I think it's going to be open probably next week.
Yeah, so I think next month onward, this month onwards, there will be some meetings. She can every second and fourth Thursday, Mondays. So I'm planning to go on the fourth one there and see. So before the next meeting, I should be able to.
What is this one? The meeting's going to encompass?
Just to go and meet with her about what is her agenda or what we can join with her and force and see what we can do for the senior citizens in Ward 6.
You give them dates?
I didn't get any date, so because she is open on the second and fourth Monday at that office. So I'm going to schedule and see what time will be ready for her. I will make an appointment.
Thank you. Yeah, Vice Chair, Ward 4, Mayor Cameron. I sat with councilmen upstairs and staff, and we had a wonderful discussion about the seniors. And I'm going to be manning the tables for him at the Sun City Health Fair that's coming up the end of September. And they have asked me to bring all the different resources that I have, including the Public Guardian and the ADSC and goodness gracious, so many of the different ones that I work with. So they've asked if I can bring the information so that they can learn more at the table for the seniors of the different resources that are out there. And so I will be getting those at my next meeting that I have with the seniors and law enforcement together. We discussed the legislation that had just gone through. We discussed some things that I personally would like to see on the next session. Things where people can intervene when they do get that call. That they do not have to just go out there and check and then the person isn't saying anything because they're scared. Because a lot of times it is a family member and it can even be the guardian. So that's why I'm working with all these different offices. And so we're going to kind of put some things into place to see if we can help to promote some of these things since he was on the Council on Aging. And he once again reiterated that 50% of his calls there at the office and the staff there is seniors because of Sun City.
Yeah.
And so we were just discussing a lot of different things, including once again transportation, which is a big issue for all of us in all of our wards, the seniors being able to get around. And he and his wife also would like to see me show up at more things, even if it's not senior related, because I was informed that even when he does, coffee with the cop, coffee with councilmen, whatever have you, that because of the demographics of our ward, there are a lot of seniors that do participate. So I told him, yes, everyone has to be at each and every one of these, including the YMCA, I guess the movie nights and things like that. And then I also attended a function to celebrate both my councilman and Councilman Fior. She's my previous neighbor, actually. And so that was nice. So that was nice to just be able to talk to them, a little more about things going on with seniors. So I have a great relationship with councilmen and the staff, and I'm just very excited to be able to get more. Our board is a little bit different than some of the other boards because it's predominantly, Sun City. They have a little bit more discretionary income, so we have some different types of things than some of the other boards. So we're trying to address it that way. So I have another meeting set up, and we'll just continue to push through on the senior issues, and wherever he needs me, I'm there, and I bring things to his attention. And he's probably thinking, oh, good Lord, this woman. Sorry, I had to throw that in because I'm everything seniors, but he's so wonderful at listening, and he tells me exactly what we can handle and what we can't, and, maybe some things to come back to the board, which is obviously transportation.
Yeah.
Big one.
You need that input.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Sounds very nice. Anyone else?
Yes, when is information for the next agenda? And how do I put it in?
That we are going to,
It's coming up.
Okay, all right, good. Yeah, I'm interested in the senior centers and the dues. I think
okay,
there's some waste of money there.
okay,
I'd like to put that on the agenda when it comes up.
all right. We're on to number 8, Kelly.
So Kelly Schwartz, Parks and Recreation, as chair, Faith stole my thunder. I don't like kidding. Here's the flyer for the Senior Assistance Expo, for the Energy Expo. If anybody needs the additional information, we can also email it to everybody. It is this Saturday, but we can do that. April can send that out later today or tomorrow if anybody's interested, or you can just take that. I'm more than happy to give that up. The other thing is Centennial Hills Active Adult Center, shockingly, is celebrating their 10th anniversary, which is very surprising to us. Time really flies. So we do have some flyers for that. So it's pretty exciting that
that they'll be out there. We do have a new coordinator that is out at Centennial Hills Active Adult Center. Her name is Krista Missick. And Krista Missick. Yep, so she is our new coordinator. She just started on Monday, and she's normally used to working summer camp with kids, so she's super excited to start something different. She's a great person, and she'll be a really good asset to that facility.
Thank you.
And they have a lot of good staff out
Is
there.
she manager of the center?
No, the center itself is run by the YMCA. It's just the active adult
Yes,
portion.
I mean, yeah, she's the manager of the active.
Correct, she is the coordinator over that. And then out at Veterans Memorial, we actually do have a new coordinator out there as well. Her name is Nicole Horowitz.
Okay,
And
good.
she was formerly at the Doolittle Community Center, and she's now been moved out to vets. We had a couple retirements, and we had a couple people leave, so we had a good opportunity to move some people around and promote some people.
I'll introduce myself to her.
So actually, that's all I have right now. I do have for a new member, this is the latest issue of our catalog that we have. The newest one will be coming out on the 15th, so I'll bring that at the next meeting. That has all the activities that are happening from September through December at all of our facilities.
Okay, this is our future agenda items. Discussions regarding topics for future agenda items by the board. Comments made during this portion of the agenda by individual members shall refer solely to the proposals for future agenda items. And any discussion shall be limited to whether or not such proposed items are within the purview of the board, and or whether such proposed items shall be placed on a future agenda. So no discussion regarding the substance of any such proposed topic shall occur and no action shall be taken. What do we want to talk about in the future? Future agenda items that we want. John?
Member Perazzo, Ward 5, are these statistics from the voter registration Clark County worth paying for? Senior citizens, active voters, 55 and older by precinct.
I have to interject, Kelly Schwartz, Parks and Rec, we don't have a budget. So.
No budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Last month when I went to the park, they were requesting for extra funding for the celebration. Are we able to donate some money extra? Or
You are more than welcome to talk to staff out there. There is a donation policy. They'll just have to fill out a form. If you want to donate food, that's kind of a different thing, but just talk to staff out at the center.
okay. Yeah, they were asking. We could use some money. It's into
Cameron, what type of donations are they looking for?
money.
Because I work with a lot of the agencies around town, and there could be potential.
Yeah, for this luncheon, they said this is the grant luncheon and they don't have enough funding. They would like extra money, so.
There may be some agencies that will step up to the plate on that,
So,
because a lot of them actually work with them, they may not even know about it.
so do you want to handle it directly or do you want me to do?
Is it okay for me to give her that information? Okay, because I don't have it with me,
Oh,
but I
it's-
can get her that information so that she can
Yeah, it's,
take it to her
it's coming soon, coming up.
active adult portion of the YMCA.
Correct.
Thank you.
Kind of a shout out to Kelly, up that, we're gonna have a table at the H-Well, right?
Correct.
Shall we do signups?
Sure.
When
We
we're
can do that.
available to man the table? 'Cause
We
I
can do that at the
understand
September meeting, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll do that
okay.
at September meeting, okay. That, I know, once in the last year and a half that I've been on board, we received a presentation from the RTC, and it was about transportation for seniors and disabled, and might be juicy to see that again.
Mhm.
Also, I was thinking about, I don't know if Rob still works there, but he's at the UNLV classes for seniors. They have, I was gonna reach out to him and see if he would make a presentation. And, as far as future items on the agenda.
Is that Ollie that you're talking about?
Yes, yes.
It's
Was it?
fabulous. I've taken some classes,
Have you?
really.
Yeah.
Multi.
Oh, LLI, is it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to put on the agenda the dues for the seniors.
For active seniors at the senior centers?
Yes.
The dues, okay, so,
It's $10 a year.
April's got that?
Are there dues? I think
Excellent.
not.
$10.
$10, okay, okay.
Six.
For different classes, okay.
As far as Vice Chair Deanna Karen, as far as the agenda, I know I've given you several people that would be beneficial, and then as far as the RTC, Councilman Anthony actually has put me in touch with the director of the RTC, so I don't know where that fits in, for here, but he did that so that I can work on that within our corridor. But I'd be more than happy to help in that. for the board.
Is there a central director for the adult senior center? Thank you, seniors.
Well, we have,
For all,
our department has a director, we've got deputies, we've got managers that oversee all of it, so
who would be the one that maybe I could contact this information?
I can give you the contact number from one of our managers.
Great.
All good? Future agenda? Number 10 is citizens' participation. Public comment again during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the board. No subject may be acted upon by the board unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, give your name for the record, and the amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. Any public discussion?
When is the next meeting?
Our next meeting will be the first Thursday in September, which is September.
7. I don't know.
Are you making it up?
I'm making it up.
September 3,
September 7th is correct.
September 7.
Vice Chair Deanna Cameron, I have something to add because with these, I forget where to add these. We keep talking about the loneliness and the isolation. I had a planning meeting this morning with Caremore, and they were written up in the Wall Street Journal because of what they're doing as far as isolated seniors. And this is an event that they would really like to get ward participation in, and that means all wards. And the reason why is because we are trying to get a togetherness forum. There's going to be a panel. I've helped them put together panels of, like your Guardian, Metro, some of the SPU detectives, the ones that are out there seeing when they go out and they see the loneliness. So it's going to be a wonderful forum that is addressing the senior loneliness and the medical and social consequences of it. So I wanted to have the opportunity to give it to each of the representatives here, if that's okay, so that because it's coming up the end of this month, so I wasn't able to, I literally just got it this morning. And it's obviously an extremely hot topic because we've already been discussing it the last 2 meetings. So if anyone can participate yourself so that we can bring it to them, or if your council people would like to be involved, we'll pass these around.
And it's not a dating service. It's
No,
not
no.
like a loneliness.
I love it.
She caught me off guard.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, but it is going to be amazing, the panel that they put together, the information that they put together, and it is something that really needs to be addressed here. And there is going to be an opportunity for the board representatives, if they would like to have a booth there, so that they can have information on, their senior centers and the activities that we can try to get them out and get them away from being isolated. So if any of your ward, yourself or your ward council people or one of their representatives would like to be involved, all the information is right on there. They're really trying to pull together community, and I know they're already talking to some of our state officials, so I thought how wonderful, especially with Parks and Rec, I mean, they have so many activities, so we need to, yes. I know the transportation's an issue, but that's what they're working on, is finding different places that can help with that too, so.
It is a hot topic.
Oh, it is.
Any more public?
So this is an insurance company doing it?
Adjourn.